Hey, this is Mike from the Graphic Novel Show. Are you interested in starting and running your own podcast? Well, you know, this is the second one that we've done. We used to do a different one, and we decided to start this one. And last time we used Anchor, and you know what? We decided to go back with Anchor again because they are the easiest way to make a podcast. They give you everything you need in one place for free. You can do it right from your phone or on your computer. Anchor gives you creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. You can do that right from your phone. That's quite amazing. They'll also distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Now, what you need to do is go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, I'm Parker, and I use they, them pronouns.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I use he, him pronouns. And welcome to the Graphic Novel Podcast. Welcome back to the Graphic Novel Podcast, our little show here where we discuss graphic novels, zines, other comics, mini comics. We throw in a bit of real life.
Sometimes we talk about queer issues, race issues, death, relationships.
And lately, we're on a bi-weekly schedule due to school for everybody. So right now, bi-weekly, every other Friday. If you like the show, we'd love it if you gave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, went to Spotify, YouTube, any one of those places, and
wherever you get your podcast from.
Just tell them you like our show.
Give us those 5 stars. You know you want to. Make sure that you subscribe so that when the podcast comes out every other week, it sits there in your feed waiting for you because we know you're all listening to your podcasts.
That's right. You can interact with us on Twitter, Insta, and Facebook.
Make sure, if you want our podcast to grow like we do, you want to help us out, make sure that you share with your friends. That's the best way for us to grow, is for you to get the message out that you love our podcast and you want your friends to enjoy it too.
You can visit us at anchor.fm/graphic novel podcast, and from there, you can leave us a voice message if you like.
We might just play it on our next episode.
That's right. And how are you, Parker?
You know, I'm absolutely exhausted.
I figured that was the word that was going to come out.
Because that's what you hear me say to everybody. Because everybody asks me how I am, and it's like, I have no other word to use. I'm very tired.
Yeah.
I'm very tired.
Yep. It's good. It's not good, but that's why we're on the bi-weekly schedule right now. Just too much to do. There's no way for you to read a book and take 4 classes and help the kids learn. There's no way to do it all.
Luckily, you help with that a lot.
I do what I can. But if I'm working,
it's tough, and it's, you know, honestly, the 3 of my classes, the professors are amazing, and well, I mean, they're great. I don't really have a lot of contact with them because they're online classes, and you're sitting there yawning. Why are you yawning? Is this such a boring story?
Oh, just finish your story before I fall asleep.
Wow.
That's not why I finished.
Wow.
Probably because it's late at night now.
It's not that late.
It's late for me.
It isn't. It really isn't.
All right, finish up.
All right, whatever.
No, but the
story, blah, blah, move on.
No, three professors. What about
3 professors, and they went into a bar, and 2 of them came out. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Oh, they fell into the mud.
Oh, they fell in the mud?
and then 4 came out.
No, it's 2 pigs fell in the mud and 3 came out.
3 pigs fell in the mud and 4 came out.
Oh, my God. What is going on here? All right.
I have one professor who's an asshole, and that's I'll just leave it at that.
That happens a lot.
Hey, listen, a PSA, this isn't general knowledge, but just so you all know, sex and gender are 2 different things. Sex, when you're talking about sex, you're talking male, female. When you're talking about gender, you're talking about men and women and non-binary and all the other spectrums of gender out there. When you're talking about gender, you don't say male and female, okay? You should know this if you have a doctorate in psychology. You should know this.
Should. But if you're 95, you might not know it.
And when somebody tells you this, don't say, yeah, okay, and then continue on using the wrong things. It's fine if you don't believe me. Go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because the knowledge is out there.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
That's my PSA for the day.
You're good.
We have a PSA on this, right? We have a PSA on the podcast?
About that?
No, not about that.
About voting. Go and vote.
Yes.
Especially in Washington. It's voting time. Other states, if you have early ballots, get them in, walk them, drive them, whatever you do. If you have to mail it, but get your ballots in there. And I don't know if we're going to be on the air again before Election Day, so.
Oh shit.
We will talk.
The final debate was tonight.
Yeah.
And our 10-year-old really, really wanted to watch it, and I really didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand that man.
Yeah.
Really, either of them, but I really can't stand looking at the one guy. And so
the one that's currently there.
We compromised and listened on the radio, and because I can't say, my kid's interested in politics. I can't say no. I'm so proud that they're interested and they want to know what's going on and they want to be informed. I don't think that they're getting informed by listening to these two grown men call each other names, but whatever.
Old men too.
Old white cis men. Yeah. But I want them to know, what the process is, because like you said, they'll be voting in two election cycles. Yeah.
Two
general or presidential election cycles. Yep. So, I mean, I don't know. So we listened to it. It was easier to listen to it than watch it.
Yeah, probably. But, although Trump was definitely he was better this time.
I think that he knew that he would get muted, so he wasn't interrupting as much. I asked my friend who was watching it, and she said that it didn't seem like he was trying to talk over him too much. So.
Okay. Yep.
So he knew that he would get muted. So he wasn't. So. I am going to plug my nose and vote for Biden. I'm not I wouldn't call myself a Biden supporter, but he's far superior to that shitbag in office.
That's right. All right.
So please vote.
That's our PSA. Please vote.
And Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Queer Lives Matter. Trans Lives Matter. All of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say again, like, go out and support your local Black businesses, especially now. Things are so hard for small businesses, and Black-owned businesses especially are struggling. So please, please, please go support some Black businesses. When you go on Etsy, that's one of the things we did to try and support some small business owners. Look at the profiles of the people who you're purchasing from. Look at the profiles. See who you're buying the stuff from. Look at their stories. It's really important, and I felt really inspired to purchase even more from Etsy, because when you see their stories, it's I don't know. Anyway, go to Etsy, look at their things if you're going to buy online, because it's hard to buy from small businesses. Do you know of any other small business websites like Etsy? I know the evil one has some small businesses on there, but I'm not quite sure how they run. Do you know anything about that?
No,
I don't either. But I know that that pops up too, like buy from the Pacific Northwest and stuff. But I'm not quite sure how they run through.
Yeah, I don't know.
Etsy, I'm pretty sure is far superior for the small business owners, profit wise, I guess.
Okay.
But anyway, support Black businesses and Black Lives Matter. And Mike is going to yawn.
Okay, so.
Again,
don't have a lot of news prepared, but I've read a ton of books, so I'm going to do a few reviews of
a few. You're reviewing a few
of a couple other books that I've read. I've read so many. I've got to get through some of them.
Really, you're going to just throw some out? Maybe there's some that I would like to read.
No, not necessarily. All right. Well, this one, I
wouldn't.
This one, I
more like you don't want me to.
I previously read this one, Funny Creek. This one was about, I read the first three issues, I think. This is about
how long ago?
This was about the girl who runs into a pole, and she's
literally into a pole,
and then she's dreaming that she's in this cartoon that she's a fan of. She's dreaming that she's one of the characters.
Because she knocks
knocks herself out.
Wow.
And you finally, it's pretty cool to finally, they have the ComiXology has the like the first 5 issue like graphic novel, so it's pretty good, and it all makes sense then, because they're like the first panels her running into this pole, so you figure out why she ran into this pole, but it's like at the very end of like issue 5, and it's like, oh, okay, but this book is really good. I like it a lot. It's from ComiXology, and the creators are Raphael Scavone, Rafael Albuquerque, Eduardo Medeiros, Priscilla Tramontano, Bernardo Bryce, and Biz Stringer Horn. So really good book, and I highly recommend reading it. Full color, great cartoon style artwork. You got this sheriff that's a clown of this TV show.
Interesting. So it's a TV show that the creators just made up. It's not like a fan fiction kind of thing.
It's called Funny Creek.
Okay.
It's called Funny Creek, and this little girl and her best friend are her boy best friend are.
It's very important.
Well, they are, because she's the main character, but the story turns out to be about him.
Oh, okay.
But you don't know it until later, really. But it's like throughout it, you find little pieces of it, and then they finally pull it all together at the end. And it's like, oh, okay.
I love books like that.
Yeah, and so I mean, the very first panel is her running, saying, "It's not my fault, Mom," and then she runs into the pole. And then you find out why she was running, and then you can see why this whole dream sequence and everything. But you don't know it's technically a dream, but it's cool. It's a good story. She becomes part of the action in this town. And at first they're like, "Where did you come from?" And she talks about episodes like, "Well, I already know what you happened to," and but then
can you imagine just running into somebody and then being like, "Oh yeah, do you remember episode?" Like, what?
But they kind of blow it off at
first. It's like the Truman Show.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. They kind of blow it off at first, but then it seems like they know what's going on, and they're actually actors.
Oh,
and they know this.
Okay.
So, but it's cool. It's a good, really good story.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. And another one that I wasn't sure if how I'd feel about it, but it turned out to be really good. It's called Ask for Mercy. It's another ComiXology original. It's by Richard Starkings and Abigail Jill Harding.
So these are all ComiXology, so they're all digital.
Correct.
Books. Okay.
Although they're going to be working with, is it Boom Studios, to actually print some of these graphic novels.
Oh yeah, so they're doing well. Yeah. Probably their best ones they're going to print. Interesting.
Yeah. So this one's called this apparently Ask for Mercy. This is season 3, World of Disquiet, and again, I hadn't read any of the other ones, so I wasn't sure. And again, another very cool book. This one is about what is it about?
I'm not sure. It's the book that you read, not me.
There's at the very beginning, there's this guy, he's burying somebody, and then all of a sudden this like spirit appears, like a Native American spirit, and she's like, "Why am I here?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't call you, but you appear." And he's like elfin or something. He's got pointed ears and 2 different color eyes, and neither one of them are from this planet, but they like are brought here and to try and save humanity, I guess, basically. That's cool. It was good. It was a good story. Again, ComiXology original, and I would the World of Disquiet. I would get it and I'd read it. If you got a subscription, check it out. There's more. We'll do some more next episode. But yeah. All right. Ready to do our book of the week? No? You got something else you want to talk about?
Well, one day. No, I don't have anything else. I was gonna look up how to say something, how to pronounce something, but maybe I'll just hope for the best.
Okay. All right. This week's book is from Fantagraphics. Thank you for sending us the review copy.
Yes, thank you, Fantagraphics.
It is called The Cloven by Garth Stein and Matthew Southworth of the Seattle area. One lives not far from us. The other one is down in Seattle.
The Cloven, Book 1, stars James Tucker, the most successful genetically modified human organism ever created. Conceived in a privately financed top-secret laboratory on Washington State's Vashon Island, Tucker is a cross between a human and a goat. A Cloven. Known to his friends as Tuck, all he wants is to live a normal life as a university student. Everything is going fine until he shows a girl his hoofs. Moody and mysterious and atmospheric as a fever dream, The Cloven Book 1 follows Tuck's breakneck journey across Pacific Northwest as he searches for a place to belong. Book 1 of the dynamic, atmospheric, and rightly funny graphic novel trilogy by two best-selling and critically acclaimed storytellers.
Yes, two things. I had read a review with them, and because they were local guys, and Fantagraphics is a local company too. I'm like, all right, we gotta check this out.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a very cool story, and it's actually book 1, because they decided that the book was too big, and the story was too big to do in just one book. So Garth Stein, prolific writer. Some of the stuff I'm getting from SeattleRefined.com. And more than a decade ago, he wrote The Art of Racing in the Rain. And then there's been a movie about that also. Came out a couple years back. And turns out he got together with the artist, Matthew Southworth, and they created this thing together. Now, in the one interview I read, they spent, I think I told you, they spent like 2 years like going back and forth, like a year going back and forth and like hashing out like details and stuff. So they kind of, well, what happens is, so Garth Stein says, I tried to write The Cloven as a novel first, and I gave it to my wife, who's always my first reader, and she read it and promptly said, no, this is not going to be your next book. And
this sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever said, no, this is not going to be your next book, but I'm definitely the first one to read your books, and I definitely give you harsher feedback than I think you ever expect.
You do. And it always helps, but it's always hard to take.
It's always an argument.
It always is. And he thought that
in the most loving way.
Yeah. And he liked this character Tuck a lot, and he thought maybe he was just telling it wrong. But then he started talking to his friend Eric Reynolds, who's a publisher at Fantagraphics. And I think what happens is he puts him together with Matthew Southworth, and that's when things start to click. Because I think Matthew knows Eric too, so I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. So they both, just kind of.
Well, it's Seattle. Everybody knows everybody, right?
Exactly. All the tech bros know each other. So
are they tech bros?
No, they're not. That's what I'm saying. It's Seattle, and all the tech bros know each other. Everybody knows each other. So he says Tuck is a genetically modified human organism, one of the most successful ever made, and the idea was to end world hunger. Scientists and rich billionaires realized that
because goats eat anything.
Scientists and rich billionaires realized that if people could have the digestive tract of a ruminant, I'm assuming that's like a goat type of character, they could eat far more herbage and stuff outside. And so they go about trying to make a goat-human hybrid, and it actually works. Tuck has the digestive tract of a ruminant, but they can't get the hooves out of the equation. So they have goat hooves as well. And Cloven is a two-hooked. That's what the Cloven is. Hoof.
I can't remember. They talk about it at the back of the book.
Oh, do they? Yeah. So you've got this story, and you're not sure what it's about, really. But it's about this talk and all these other. I mean, I don't know how much to give away. I mean, there's one man, basically the lead
You gotta
scientist.
give it away. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the author's note about the hoofs and.
Oh, that's right.
hooves.
Yeah.
All right, linguisticians have understandably questioned the use of hoofs, HOOFS, instead of hooves, HOOVES, as the plural form of hoof in this edition. While both forms are acceptable in today's language, hooves with a V is more commonly used. However, the authors have deferred to Dr. Kenneth Langner's consistent use of hoofs, HOOFS, in his laboratory notes and journal entries. In fact, Dr. Langner addressed the issue himself in a 1997 journal entry. I will use the plural form hoofs instead of the common form hooves to indicate that the hoof of a cloven is slightly but significantly different from the hoof of a common ungulate, as a cloven hoof retains some man-like qualities in terms of bone structure and ligament attachment.
You do know that that's a fake thing, right?
Yes, okay. Of course.
I'm like, that's not a real doctor and stuff. Right? I'm like,
no, they definitely
spoke to
the doctor in the book
that created
created the. I just read the note.
Okay, so
don't you think that's significant?
So what you've got is this private lab that this doctor believes that he's creating.
So that's the word that I was looking up. Mm-hmm. The pronunciation of Vashon or Vashon. Vashon or Vashon.
Vashon, I think.
I think that's how I've heard it too.
Vashon.
You can tell we're not from Seattle because Seattle.
No, I'm pretty sure it's that.
So we don't know how to say Vashon.
Okay.
That's what I thought too, but
so
whatever.
So you've got this doctor who has he's a scientist, and what happens is they're creating these babies, but they're not living. They keep dying, right?
Is this the part that this is the part that I read it and I was like, clearly he did a little research into psychology, or he's a parent,
right? Okay, yeah. And they keep dying. And then they finally get some that live a few seconds or a minute.
Right, and it's just like any other scientific experiment. Like I feel like most scientists, I shouldn't say most, but I feel like a lot of scientists kind of disconnect their experiment from what they're actually. So like they're not looking at these things as babies.
Exactly.
But this doctor is seeing it as a baby, and he's like,
because he's created so many of them,
and he's talking to them. And then he finally decides, I'm going to hold them. And then they start living.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a whole lot of science that goes into attachment and having the babies. Kangaroo care with NICU babies has improved.
Kangaroo care, as in the kangaroo carrying their babies around?
Yes. Holding your baby skin to skin in the NICU has significantly improved premature, life and other NICU situations. And a lot of that is because of having that skin to skin contact.
Right.
So yes, kangaroo care is holding them close, like you were a kangaroo, right?
Okay.
Anyway, and so this doctor starts to hold these babies to him, and then they start living.
Right.
But he also grows attached to them.
He does. He gets attached, especially to one.
Experiment.
Yeah, especially gets attached to one, which is Tuck. But that's not what he's called in the lab.
No, in the lab. What?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Really.
Okay.
But he was.
I mean, it does.
It does.
Matter.
In the story, it matters.
Yes.
But he wasn't called that. And basically, some of them start escaping, and they end up out in the wild. And
wild streets of Seattle.
Yeah. Yes, but
they call it the jungle, right? They call it the jungle.
And they live out in like the woods and stuff, and they come out like when there's a full moon, and they run through the streets and stuff. And,
yeah.
But it's. I drive around a lot, and I see a lot of homeless people and stuff living. And you see like some of the areas that they go into these wooded areas, and that's the first thing I thought of when I think about these Hooven.
Well, I think that I think it speaks a lot about the homeless population in Seattle. I mean, you hear a lot in the media and everything about the homeless population in Seattle, and they're always given this awful, image.
Right.
And I don't think that they deserve that image. And I think that a lot of times people don't view them as human. So I thought it was interesting that a lot of the people that he's coming into contact in the jungle are these Cloven are these Cloven people. They were raised, they were brought up to be this scientific experiment and then discarded. And I think that speaks a lot to the homeless population. I felt.
Right.
Yeah. No,
you
don't agree with me.
no, I agree. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the art because Matthew has something. First of all, this
oh my god,
it's packaged amazing, hardcover, thick paper.
I really loved the cover too. I'm very much a texture person. I love, and they have these glossy, like ripped. Like it's so cool. I've run my fingers over this cover so many times I can't even tell you. And then the beautiful
artwork, full color. And
it's got a very
Matthew
dark...
says it's mostly done with a pen and nib, and of course, then it's colored in markers and watercolors.
And I do love. I can't get away from this love of watercolor. I didn't realize how much I really love watercolor, but it's so it just gives this other feeling. You know what I mean?
And it is a darker colored book. All kinds of colors, but darker. I mean, the story's not a bright, happy story. So the darker colors really, really fit it well.
Right.
But I remember reading in a different article how when they were working on it, Matthew said, all right, there has to be, at the end, there has to be this 4-page fold out.
And that was
Garth
so cool.
was like, that's going to cost a lot of money. He's like, this has to be done. Yeah. It has to be.
It was, I'm not going to ruin the book. I promise you, I'm not going to.
It would be a cool poster.
It's a fucking awesome poster. It is so cool.
Yeah.
I opened this and I was like, oh, that's just fucking rad.
Yeah, it is. It is very cool.
Just so cool.
And you have to see it to understand it. But
I mean, I don't know. It's worth buying the book just for that. Yeah. I mean, the story is amazing. I love the story. I loved it. I can't wait to read book 2. But the fucking artwork, man, it fucking rocks.
Yeah. So Matthew Southworth is also the co-creator of Stumptown.
The emotion that you get out of looking at this artwork makes it. I mean, it just makes it. It's just so fucking
the artwork. Good. Well, let's go back a second. He says
this is toward the end of the book.
No. He's saying. So the question here from Seattle Refined was: your protagonist Tuck is a dude that happens to be part goat. How challenging was it for you as an artist? And he says it took some figuring and some fudging to figure out how to deal with human legs that are also goat legs.
Right.
And he's
got these special boots.
He had special boots that
his mom,
his quote unquote mom,
made for him, or got for him. I think he said she made them, but I assume that she
made or something. Yeah.
Right.
For him, so he could live in the real world without people knowing that he wasn't human.
He could mask as a
but again,
genetically modified. He was genetically modified. Have we said that yet? I feel like you don't hear those words anymore, but that was such a huge deal. Genetically modified food.
GMO food. Yeah.
Yes, it was such a huge deal not long ago.
It was.
And it's suddenly not. I mean, there's so many other significant things happening right now that it's kind of fallen down the list of it, but. That kind of brought up memories of, I don't even know, 2013 or 14. I don't even remember what year it was, but
so anyhow, I'd mention again. So Matthew Southworth is co-creator of Stumptown, which was a comic book.
Oh yeah.
Comic book, and it's a TV show that you really like.
You don't like it? I partly love it because I'm in love with the actress.
I know, and it's okay.
I don't like the cop aspect of it. I've kind of drawn away from cop shows. So that part, but she's a PI. She's not, and I mean, I'm also kind of, I shouldn't say that, but I'm not a big fan of cop shows, so we've pulled away from them a bit. But I just really like. I don't even remember her name.
Yeah, I don't either. How I Married Your Mother. Or
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Married Mother.
How I Met.
So again, so they're asked, would you think this could end up on the big screen or the small screen? And they said, yeah, I think that it would be a great series because there's so much.
Well, and his other book, Garth's other book, is that
Art of Racing in the Rain.
Yeah, with Milo. What's his
really?
name from Gilmore Girls, and what's that other show that he does with the kids and fuck, what is it called?
I don't know.
Everybody is screaming at their podcasting.
Why don't you just look him up?
That show that I was watching with the three kids, the twins and the third adopted.
Oh, yeah.
What is it called?
It was on ABC Family.
ABC? I don't think it was ABC Family.
No, sure.
Okay. It was something Being Together or Milo.
Happy Together?
No, it's not Happy Together.
And we're happy together. How is the weather? Da, 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 da,
Why can't I?
Da, 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 da,
Racing.
da,
Okay, let's look up Racing in the Rain and follow that tree.
Milo Manheim?
No,
not him.
Milo.
Not Yiannopoulos or whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Ventimiglia.
Yeah, him. Yeah.
He plays Denny.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, he's from the show.
He's from Gilmore Girls.
He's the dad. Yes, he's the boyfriend.
This Is Us.
But he's also This Is Us. That's it. What did I say it was?
You didn't know what it was.
I couldn't remember.
He's from Rocky Balboa.
He's from Rocky Balboa?
Yeah.
Who did he play? The
Art of Racing in the Rain. Yeah, I'd like to see that movie now.
I know, me too. I'm like, oh, I know. I mean, I don't remember. I don't know anything about it, but I do remember him having a movie.
Yeah.
Because I was watching This Is Us. I haven't
right
watched it now and forever because it hasn't come back out. Did it get canceled?
No, I don't think so. But it's just the new seasons are just starting for everybody in September, the end of September. So everything's probably just, it may be on now.
Or because of COVID, it might have been pushed too.
But anyhow, the Cloven, beautifully packaged book. Supposedly there's going to be 3 of them.
Why do you say supposedly? It's going to be 3?
I believe it's a 3-book series.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Do you want to talk about the story a little more?
I don't know. It's a.
Do you feel like you were going to give it away too much?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there. I mean, we mentioned some stuff, and and it's
the way he's getting. He has to escape this big action scene and deal with. They talk about the liberal media or something. What do they talk about?
Something, yeah.
There's a guy in a red hat. I mean, there's so much.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out in the next couple books. So I think it's going to be a really good story to keep following. And I don't know if they're coming out yearly.
You walked into the wrong mini mart.
Yeah, but it's a good book.
You don't think yearly? I'm going to be really sad if I have to wait more than a couple years for the finishing of this book.
They have work, it takes work to do these.
I know. I'm well aware, but I have needs too.
I know. You heard.
I love it.
Gentlemen, you heard. They have needs, so.
I loved it. I loved it so much. I can't wait to see where the story goes, and I think that it could. Did you say it was an interview with Garth with it? He said that it could be a series. He'd like to see
they
it
both
become
said
a series.
that it would be. They think it would be good. I wonder how much it would be attractive to teenagers, or adults that like good stories, because this is good story.
I didn't feel like it was it's too immature.
Fantasy. I guess there's a little sci-fi to it. Not like sci-fi, like space sci-fi, but science fiction. Because I mean, it's out there.
It's genetically modified humans. I mean, there's definitely a sci-fi aspect to it.
And they're growing them in a lab and stuff. Yeah,
tubes.
Yeah, but it's really good story. And again, the artwork is amazing, beautiful.
Yeah, I'd really love to see it become a series where they incorporate that comic book.
Yes, I
the
really
artwork
like that
into
kind of
it.
stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
Even if it's just like transition pages or stuff like that. But
I'd like to see more of it than like Stumptown had
Oh yeah.
some of the
I
comic
like
book
like Scott Pilgrim did a lot
accents
more of
to
that.
it.
Where they had like actually, and that wasn't the whole thing, but that documentary about Kurt Cobain had a lot of animation thrown in there and stuff. Like when
I have no idea what you're talking about.
we watched it, but
I'm sure we did.
But yeah, it was that kind of stuff is very cool when you can combine the two different mediums. I mean, the comic book kind of becomes animated, but at the same time, you've got a real story with humans as the characters.
I kind of liked how it jumped around a bit too. It wasn't a full like telling of the life story starting from the beginning.
Right. It jumped back.
You learn it starts out as the story of just his birth, but it wasn't really his birth, right? That's just what he was told was his birth story.
Yeah, you learn more about him as you go along to where he doesn't even know who his father is. Oh, don't they? Yeah, they do things. And he doesn't. Tuck doesn't know who his real.
Yeah, he says, "I don't know why. They're feeding me that. I don't know what this is. I don't know. What." But then he goes home to when he escapes from this lab, and all the action that comes along with that, and goes home, and home isn't there anymore. And so he has to kind of figure out, and then you put all the pieces together, you learn about his story. I mean, really, this first book is just like building the bricks of the foundation of Tuck and who he is.
Well, and this company that funded this experiment, and
the world just knows they exist,
and this doctor
but just ignores it.
Oh, yes, the neighborhood, like they knew.
They know, but they
know,
don't.
Yes,
they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to, oh, there's a reward for your return, so you're coming with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But apparently has no problem with this, and has no questions about
this company,
this person who is sitting in the car with them. They thought, he was just hitchhiking or whatever, and no questions about who he is as a person. Like, you're having a conversation with this person, and now it's just, oh, I'm turning you in.
Yeah.
Because you came from the lab, so you must not be good.
Yeah,
the conflict in, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just.
No, I understand. I get it.
But yeah, thank you again to Fantagraphics.
Yep.
I could not have been happier.
Yep.
With that read. Just absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, that was an awesome book.
For the next two. And hopefully, series or movie or whatever they decide to do. They better do something with it, because I'm interested.
And also ComiXology, Funny Creek, and Ask for Mercy. Check those out. Those also, we got previews on those, so thanks for those. No, but that's it for this episode. Until next time, my name is Mike.
And I'm Parker.
And this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.